Subtitle: Can you believe it? Katherine swiftly found the correct algorithm, far better than the previous one. So the boss had her check the calculations of other colleagues, including the project leader Paul from the Custral team. As the chief analyst, letting a newcomer check his data was absurd, but there's always a workaround. She tossed a thick data book to Katherine and said, "I'm checking my data. No worries. You can trust me." But when Katherine opened it, she was simply dumbfounded to see the key data was all scribbled out. How to calculate this? The leader said contemptuously they were classified data and she couldn't see them. Faced with her leader's harassment, Katherine kept calm and carried on, but soon couldn't bear to no restrooms for people of colour in the east building forced her to run a mile to the west. The round trip took her 40 minutes, so to avoid a delay, she had to rush calculations on the toilet. Meanwhile, the boss began to notice Katherine's empty desk. Annoyed, Katherine rushed back to the office, quickly settling in. As she pondered, she poured coffee, and it was the simple act, drawing side eyes from all the white people as if she had committed a heinous crime. Finally, late at night, Katherine completed her calculations. The minister didn't even look and threw it in the trash, not due to bias, but because aerospace data updates every 7 hours. Being late means no help to research the space agency's brutal truth. The boss murmured, "What I need is not a smart computer, but someone who can think outside these numbers." Katherine felt a wave of bitterness. She couldn't say it, left the building dejectedly, and found her sisters waiting to take her home. They took turns venting in the car. They joked and encouraged each other. They are more capable than housewives. They were already a successful representation, with respectable jobs and supportive families and as single moms. With 3 lively daughters, they motivated Katherine to keep hustling. For this, she had to be doubly focused and avoid being expelled from the space computation team. One weekend, Katherine took her kids to church. There, she ran into Colonel Jim, who was smitten at first sight, and after the prayer, he made a beeline for her. Her sisters tactfully stepped aside, and the two began chatting. But when Jim learned she worked in aerospace, he opened his mouth and hit Katherine's pet peeve. "You know, I was the top female student at Beijing University. In Beijing, there are 20 outstanding female students, and we're so proud to do what we do. So yes, they let girls do a few things at NASA. Not because we wear ties, but because we wear glasses." Jim had never met such a fierce, independent woman. He liked her and admired her more. Meanwhile, 7 chosen astronauts reported to the space agency. They were all handsome and dashing, and one young man named John was especially polite. Ignoring the secretary's nudging, he insisted on shaking hands with women of colour, winning major brownie points. Little did he know these women would save his skin late. Back at the office, fresh pressures piled on. Katherine thought about grabbing a coffee to stay awake, only to find a little water jug on her desk labeled for black. She felt the tension rise, but could do nothing. Just as she sat down, the team lead handed her a pile of documents that were still all black scribbles. Katherine mustered the courage to say she couldn't validate data she couldn't see, but the team lead brushed it off. The lead said she had already validated it with 2 senior engineers, and Katherine thought it was pointless to argue. Accustomed to white arrogance, she raised the documents to the light, spotted the data, and started calculating on the blackboard. Before long, she calculated the correct rocket trajectory, then dropped the chalk and headed straight to the west. When the group leader saw it, he was completely shocked. See, only then did he realize his previous work was all wrong. Who would have thought? Sheldon, too, had a day of brain freeze, thinking he'd finally gained recognition. Little did he know, upon emerging from the restroom, Katherine was already. As this was confidential data, the team leader suspected her of being a Soviet spy. Fortunately, the secretary did her job and confirmed Katherine's identity. The background was spotless, but how to explain the classified data? Katherine could only say she saw it in the light, and the boss tried it and verified. He then ordered the team lead to give Katherine the same complete data in the future. Finally, her work got recognized, and Katherine was quite pleased. During lunch, she happily shared her joy with her sisters when the HR manager approached, making Katherine feel uneasy indeed. She was there to inform that Mary's application was turned down because she didn't meet educational requirements. Mary immediately retorted, "In college, students wrote by hand. If you hadn't noticed, every time we have a chance to progress, they switch phones. I just followed the rules around here. I expect everyone to follow me. There aren't any special circumstances. You should all appreciate me." Going to Virginia University was too far from home, so Mary checked options and found Hampton High nearby also offered the course. Wouldn't you know it, that was a segregated school that didn't allow black students. Mary was left in disbelief. See, they weren't leaving her anyway out. With the civil rights movement heating up, protests were everywhere, and the three sisters stood back, not wanting to get caught in the political, but politics influenced their fates. One day, Rosie visited the East Building for a report and saw IBM machines being delivered. Although she didn't know what they were, she sidestepped and asked their supervisor, discovering it was the legendary computer that could replace thousands of people. Most might see it as novel, but Rosie was worried. If machines took over calculations, wouldn't she and her sisters lose jobs? So on holidays, he'd go to the library for programming books, braving white folks' stares. One day, Rosie held a birthday party for her son, with Colonel Jim arriving. Rosie seized the chance to talk with Katherine, and they danced after clearing up the misunderstanding. Their distance shrank, but the joy was shattered by a radio announcement. America's space journey had stumbled again.